Hello everybody. Today we're going to be planning out our soft sculpture designs. For your soft sculpture, you are going to be thinking about an object that you enjoy creating, something that you would like to see in your house. Maybe it's an everyday object like a phone or a school bus. Maybe it's an animal. I have a rabbit or a fish or an owl. You can have a peace sign. This is a big piece of candy. And you're just trying to, get your ideas out. Like, what are things that you like to see? What are things that you enjoy? What are maybe some hobbies that you have? Like, I like to paint, so maybe I could make a big painted soft sculpture. After you've figured out your ideas, you do want to think about how many pieces of fabric you're going to be needing. So if we take the candy corn example, the candy corn is going to need a back triangle shaped piece and then 3 different colors to make the colored piece. It has orange, yellow, and white, I believe. And so that's something that you want to think about, because once you are done with your ideas, you are going to be creating a pattern. So the pattern sheet is drawing out your object in real life size. And so I have drawn out my painter's palette, and I've drawn out the shape for my little paint splat. You're also going to be labeling these. So I labeled this one cut 2 because I know I'll need a front piece and a back piece that I'm going to sew together so I can stuff it. And then for this, I wrote cut 5 because I'm going to be cutting out 5 different colors. All right, the next step, you're going to cut out those pattern pieces and then you're going to select your felt. So for my big palette piece, I was looking for a tan fabric and I couldn't find one. So I'm going to use this brown. Now I have enough that I can get both palettes cut out at the same time. And I want to be considerate of other artists who are going to be using this. So if I kind of fold it in a different way, I'm gonna leave this whole piece for somebody else to use. To cut the felt, we're probably going to be using some bigger scissors today. If the little ones at your table don't work, then you can come ask me for some bigger ones. Now with this big pattern piece, you're gonna wanna pin it in place. Now I don't happen to have any pins at my spot, so I'm gonna try to see if I can pin it with these needles. Pinning just means I'm gonna poke through and then poke back up again if I can. It's a lot of material to go through with our needles. And just maybe pin it in a couple places. It's such a big pattern piece, I don't want it to be moving while I'm cutting it. There we go. Okay, that's secure enough. And so I'm just going to be cutting out through both pieces of my felt. This is going to be the front and the back piece of my soft sculpture or my little pillow design. And only the front piece is the one that's going to get the details of the little paint splats. So the back side of your sculpture does not have to have any details on it. Okay, think of it as the pillow back. Nobody's going to really see the back if it's resting against something. Okay, and I'm kind of holding this flat as I'm turning and getting that off. Now I did cut out the detail in my pattern, but I think for now I'm going to leave it. I could maybe create that hole with a different piece of material. All right, so I have my pieces and I have my paint splats that I had done. So your first sewing task is going to be starting to sew those details on, and you're just going to set the big piece apart for now. That's the last thing you're going to do, is to sew your front and your back together. So we're just focusing on the front for today. When you get ready to sew, you're just going to start with your first item that you need to stitch on. We're going to use the embroidery floss instead of the thread, and then we still have our same needles. You could find a embroidery floss color that's similar to the item that you're sewing, or you could contrast it and you could find something different. You're going to want to have an arm's length, actually a full wingspan, so from hand to hand stretched all the way across your body. Want to have a longer piece, and going to match the 2 ends, and you can just tie either a single knot or a double knot, or if you want to do the tying the way that I showed you last time where we make the loop, point the two ends toward each other, overlap, pinch the tails by the eye of the needle, wrap a few times, and then slide that off to create your knot. I do like how efficient that is. Now, something you want to keep in mind, you have to poke up from the bottom. Do not poke down first, okay? We are doing either a running stitch or you can do a whip stitch. And it's a little tricky to get through both pieces, so feel free, use your table to help you press that needle in so you don't hurt your fingers. Now, I could go a couple different ways. I could go running stitch, in and out, in and out, in and out, along the edge here. Or if I wanted to do whip stitch, I can go down into the brown part, just the single layer, pull through, and then when I poke up again, make sure I'm poking up through both layers. And it's a little tricky, so use that table. Okay, whichever stitch you desire is your choice. Choose from one of those two. Okay, and this is how we're going to continue, just individually sewing on your details. And then when you get back to where you started, you're going to tie a second knot and cut off your string.